Bottles, glasses, and cups. Welcome back to Sound the Siren. I'm Xavier.
I'm Dylan. Welcome back to another episode. It's been a frenetic period for the pair of us, obviously year 12, and then for a sophisticated term, we'll say health and safety protocols, Christmas, New Year, but we are back. We are glad to be back. Finally, produce some more content. Save, how have you been?
Yeah, I've been really good, and as you said, we've been really busy. It was our last year of school, so we had to get our exams done, had the formal celebrations and things that came with that. Went away for Christmas, met up with some family, and yeah, as you said, health and safety protocols as well. So it's been a long time coming, but finally we're back on this, and hopefully we can put some more good content out.
Yep, so we'll just get straight into it. I have been excited for this episode. The All-Star period is about a month away, but we have done our early predictions for the teams. So we'll start off with the Eastern Conference. We'll just go the starters first. Who are your five starters in the Eastern Conference, Dave?
So my two guards in that are starting in the Eastern Conference, I've got Demar Derozan. He's the first one. He's having a really, really good year. I think he might even be an MVP candidate at least at this period of time. I think the Bulls are almost the one seed in the East. DeRozan's averaging 26 points per game, and so he's been really, really incredible. And then the other one is Trae Young. I know the Hawks have had a lot of struggles, but he's been a really, really bright spot for them. He's averaging 28 points and almost 10 assists as well. So both of them have been very, very good to start the year.
Yeah, I thought this would be the trend. I have Demar as well. As you said, 26 points in a decorated Bulls team alongside Zach Levine, Nikola Vucevic, Lonzo Ball, and even AC Fresh, Alex Caruso. So 26 points, 5 assists as well, and a well-deserved MVP candidate. And then Trae Young as well. That that Hawks team has just been unable to be healthy at the same time. They always have one injury or health and safety protocols in this year's case. But yeah, Trae Young, well deserved, had 56 the other night as well against the Blazers.
Yeah, and I think he dropped 50 something against the Warriors as well, against Steph Curry when he had a down night. But I think they lost that one. So like, he's doing a lot, but his team isn't quite coming along with him.
Yeah,
My three forwards, I've got Kevin Durant. At the moment, he's the top scorer in the NBA, 29.8 points per game, playing on a really good Nets team who just got one of their star players in Kyrie Irving back. So he's going to be a no-brainer for every team. Then I've got Giannis, who's another MVP candidate, 28.4 points, 11 rebounds and 6 assists, playing on another good team in the Bucks. And my last one is not quite as obvious, but I've got Joel Embiid. He's still playing a really good season, 27 and 11 for him this year.
yep. I'm mirroring that as well. KD, Giannis, and Joel Embiid, who have all played substantial roles. Joel Embiid has had 7 plus point games in a row as of today. Kevin Durant is just flourishing since that injury return, which is awesome to see. And then Giannis as well, who's they actually lost to the Pistons the night before yesterday, but he still had a 40 piece. So I'm not sure what's going on with the Bucks as of late, but I'm sure they'll put it together as they did in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, I think they're a good team as well. I think they might have had a couple of injuries too, and obviously a lot of teams have been rocked by the health and safety protocols, having players out and coming in, coming out, coming in, coming out again. So it's going to be difficult for a lot of teams. But even now, they've got a win percentage over 60% at 26 and 17. So whilst they haven't quite hit their straps like many thought they would, they've still been really, really, really good this year. So and they're only a game behind, or 3 games behind the one seed. So they're still being really, really good.
Yeah, a little fun fact as of when Joe Ingles entered health and safety protocols, every team has now had at least one player. So every team's been rocked in these unprecedented times. Well, precedented now, but
Yeah.
so we'll kick it off with the West starters now, and we'll come back to the Eastern bench. So who are your guards for the Western Conference?
So my guards, I've got another pretty obvious one, Steph Curry. He's still an MVP candidate. He's had a couple of good games in a row, but we know he went through a little bit of a cold stretch. But even still, he's averaging 27 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Had another good game today with a triple double. And then my other one is Donovan Mitchell, who's fresh off a Player of the Month, playing for a really, really good Jazz team, who I think is the 2 seed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's averaging 26 points, 5 assists, and been really, really good.
Okay, so we finally have our first difference. I do have Steph Curry as well. And then I have Ja Morant.
Mm.
I feel like he's obviously a formidable player, and Donovan Mitchell as well. just no credit taken away from him, but the way Ja Morant is able to explode to the rim, and they've compiled 10 wins in a row as of today, this Grizzlies side, and they were flourishing without him, but since he's returned, they've stepped it up a notch, and they beat the Warriors today. So Ja Morant is my second starter.
Mhm. Yeah, and definitely a valid option. My forwards in the East, another really obvious one. I've got LeBron James, my favorite player, obviously wearing his jersey right now. He's second in the league for points per game right now at 28.9. Then we know obviously what he does on the rebounds and on the assist tally as well. But it's the most points he's averaged since the 2007-8 season, which I find pretty incredible. So he's been really, really good, and he's making the team for me. I've got Nicole Yokitch, another really obvious one. 26 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists, having another MVP caliber season, although his team is not quite as good as he would like them to be at the 6th seed. But obviously that's going to come when Michael Porter Jr. has been injured for most of the year, and Jamal Murray obviously hasn't played either. And then my 5th one, who I'm not sure you'll have, but Karl Anthony Towns. I think he's been incredible. 25 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and his shooting splits this year have been absolutely incredible, which I think is part of the reason why I put him in the starting spot. 51% from the field, 42% from 3, which is incredible from your 7-foot center, and then he's shooting like 80-something% from the free throw line as well. So he's been really, really good all year.
Yes,
Plus, they're a very, very improved team too, the Timberwolves.
they are, and well, they're finally healthy and durable. So it's good to see D'Lo out there. Anthony Edwards had 6 threes today in a close loss against Brandon Ingram's game winner. So I have LeBron as well. LeBron will continue to LeBron. His back has to be sore at this current stage. Also, Jokic, I'm not sure if you saw today, you said their team wasn't as great as they'd like to be. They were up 25 points and they lost to a severely undermanned Clippers side. So Jokic still putting up solid numbers. He had another double-double today. Is it fair to say he's under-recognized? I think I asked you this last year as well.
Uh, I think maybe to a certain extent, but when you've won an MVP, I think you sort of get recognised a little bit more. So I think a year later, if you asked me the question last year, maybe I would have said yes, but maybe no at the moment.
Yep. And here's where I've gone left of field. I don't think you would have predicted this, Safe. And you know I love my spontaneous picks. I've gone with Jonas Valanciunas
As a starter,
as a
I'm
starter.
gonna throw it out. I don't even have Jonas Valanciunas in my team, in my entire team. So he has had a really good year. I don't have his stats in front of me, but I think just with his team struggling, obviously, I think the Pelicans have been a lot worse than people thought. We know that Zion not playing is going to have something to do with that, but uh, he has been a really big bright spot for them. So I definitely wouldn't put him as a starter, but he's definitely worthy of maybe making a spot, maybe a wild card.
I'll give you the reasoning. So he's averaging 19 and 12 on a struggling New Orleans side, but he's in my fantasy team actually. So I've been able to watch him closely all year. But he had that game against the Clippers where he had 40 odd. He's putting up consistent double doubles, and I thought he has to be recognised in some way. So I know the team record is probably holding him down, but yeah, Jonas Valanciunas, Save.
It's just, would you rather 19 and 12 from the 13 seed or 25 and 9 from the 9 seed?
Yeah.
I'd probably take Karl Anthony Towns still, but
Bit of a questionable pick, but I do have Cat in the bench slot, so it's okay. We'll move back to the Eastern reserves now. We'll go one by one. So hit me with one of your Eastern reserves.
so my first guard for the Eastern Reserves is Zach Levine. Similar to DeRozan, he's averaging 26 points for a really, really, really good team in the Bulls. He's got 5 assists and 4 rebounds as well. 5 rebounds and 4 assists as well. So he's been really good for them as well.
Yep, I'll match that. Zach Levine as well.
My other guard in the East, I've got James Harden. We know he's been a lot worse than he was last year and like the last 10 years before that. His shooting splits have been down. He's not getting to the free throw line as much, even though he's still leading the league in free throws at almost 10 a game. But he's still averaging 22 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. I think he might be leading the league in triple doubles, maybe Westbrook, but I think he's definitely up there. And he's obviously playing for a good team as well. So he's my other guard.
Again, I'll nullify Harden so our points of difference are obvious when we reach them.
Jason Tatum is my first forward in the East. This was a bit of a difficult one for me because I would love to have picked Jaylen Brown because I think he's been incredible this year. But Tatum's averaging slightly more points and he's played, I think, 10 more games. And then obviously the Celtics have been really disappointing and not very good this year. So it's going to be tough for me to give them to All-Stars.
Yep. Tatum, I have him as well.
My second forward from your team, Jimmy Butler. He's averaging 23 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He's been really good all year. He's been injured a bit, only played the 23 games, but he's been so incredible that I think he has to make it.
Yeah, I have Jimmy as well, but I feel like he hasn't been in the spotlight as much. I know he's been injury ridiculed all year, but he's had patches of playing and he's had double numbers with high assist numbers. He had a 30-point game as well. But Miami are just trotting along nicely, Zabe.
Yeah, I'm actually really impressed with how they've been this year. I think their winning percentage is up like 8% from last year, and obviously they've had a lot of injuries. We know Bam has missed most of the season. As I said, Jimmy Butler's only played 20-something games. And then, Markieff Morris has missed, 30 games in a row or something. Just injury after injury for them, but they just keep kicking and keep winning games. So they've been really impressive this year.
Yep. On to your next forward.
My last forward is someone that maybe you don't have, but I want to give a bit of I want to put him in the spotlight a little bit, and his team in particular in the spotlight is Jared Allen. He's averaging 17 and 11, and the Cavs have been one of the best teams in the league. So I think he's going to get my final spot. There might be a few others you could put in there, but I think just how good his team's been, I think they deserve to have at least one All-Star.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. And the Cavs, they've been a surprising revelation for this year. We talked about them before the season and we said, how will they match other teams? Well, they've done exactly that. Evan Mobley's a Rookie of the Year candidate. Kevin Love's been having 20 points, 30 points off the bench. Jared Allen. They released Taco Fall, but that tall man lineup has proved to work.
Yeah, and like they're playing 3 genuine 7-footers. Like Evan Mobley is a genuine power forward center, and he's playing at the 3. And then obviously with Lowry and Jared Allen, who's my All-Star, and Kevin Love off the bench. Yeah, they're just so big. But pause. They've been really good this year.
Yeah. So my final forward position is finally a point of difference. I've gone with Miles Bridges, who's a most improved candidate. He's averaging just below 20 points, over 7 rebounds, and nearly 4 assists. But I just felt like he's put in the work and he deserves an all-star spot.
Yeah, I think Miles Bridges is definitely less out there than the Jonas Valanciunas pick. I think he's probably, if I had to pick one more forward, it would probably be either him or no, it would probably be him. But then I really like Miles Bridges because of the way he bet on himself in the off season. Like they were going to offer him a smaller contract, and he like knocked it back. Said, "No, I'm going to come out this year. I'm going to play really well. I'm going to play at an all-star caliber. You've got him in your team, and then I'm going to try and get more money in the following off season." So he's been really, really good, and the Hornets have been pretty impressive too, sitting at the 7th seed.
3 vacant guard positions left. Who are you beginning off with?
3 vacant guard. We got wild cards. So it's only 2 wild cards left.
Oh, sorry. Yep. No, you're right.
Yeah.
It's because I have 3 cards left. That's why.
My first wild card is Fred VanVleet. I think his stats have been up on any season he's had before. 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. And he's been far and away the best player on a team that's currently sitting at the 8th seed. So I think he deserves to play in the game. He's got my wildcard spot.
I just did a last-minute shuffle. I've inserted VanVleet for Bradley Beal, and I don't know how I feel about it because one of my picks is controversial as well. So I'll join you. I forgot to list Fred VanVleet.
And my last spot is going to Darius Garland. I was talking about the Cavs, how they need to get recognition. They've been one of the better teams all year. They're sitting at the 6th seed. They've been a bit better than that before. They're a couple of losses now, but they've been really, really impressive. And Darius Garland has been one of the driving factors for that. 19.4 points, 3 rebounds, and 7.3 assists. And I think just on top of that, the Cavs have absolutely sucked when like Darius Garland isn't on the court and when he's not playing. And they take him off, and you see the opposite team going on massive runs, big stretches, and their team just isn't very great offensively without him. So I think Colin Sexton missing this year, which I think is underrated for the Cavs as well. Like they've been so good without having Colin Sexton in the team. But I think, yeah, and Rubio too. So I think not having both of those players has given Darius Garland the ball in his hands a little bit longer, a little bit more, and he's definitely had an opportunity to thrive, and he's taken that with both hands. So he's my last wildcard spot.
Yeah, such a budding young Cavs team. I just realised I've skipped one of my turns, so I still have two positions left. One of them is Darius Garland, and the final spot is going to Tyler Hero.
I think that's just Miami Heat talk. Like
He has the numbers. He's been playing extremely well, and there's a lot of people saying he should be in contention for an All-Star spot. And you know me, I really had to put him in there.
let me just get his stats up. Do you know how many points he's averaging?
About 20.8, I believe.
20.6.
26.
I just find he's played 34 games this year and he started in only 10 of them. I just find it hard to give an all-star spot to someone that's coming off the bench. Like, just off the top of my head, I couldn't really tell you anyone that's come off the bench and been an all-star. We know Lou Williams was pretty close, but he never made it. Manu made a couple of teams, but never in a year that he came off the bench. So I just find it really difficult to give it to someone that.
I will say he's probably started just below half of them.
Yeah, so he played in 34, I think I said, and started in 10. So.
Yeah, so he's probably started about 16 of them, I'd say, and they are winning. So
he started in 10. I got the stat.
10? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. You know, it might be a world's first. Anyway, to the Western Reserves.
So my first Western Reserve is for the guards. I've got Moran. You obviously had him in your starting lineup for all the reasons you touched on. He's just been really good, averaging heaps of points. He's killed my Lakers a couple of times.
Yeah,
been really, really impressive. So he's got my first reserve spot.
Yeah, and I'll have Donovan Mitchell for mine, as you said.
We'll switch. My second guard is Devin Booker. He's been down a little bit on what he produced last year and the years before that, but he's averaging 24 at the moment, and Phoenix has just been really, really good again. They're sitting at the 1 seed in the West, and Devin Booker is obviously a contributing factor to that.
I will go for my second position. I'll go Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He is having a seriously, I wouldn't even say underrated now. He's finally being recognised in the spotlight, and well deserved, mind you. He had another 30-point game today, and alongside Giddey, that OKC team is probably beating all expectations. They're still in the lower class or lower quartile of the Western Conference, but you know, they have a lot of talent, and Shai is a part of that.
Yeah, Shai's one of my favourite players. I don't have him in my team just because I think there's a couple of other players that are really deserving of spots. Not that he isn't, but also like they're playing on better teams that are winning a bit more. But he's been really, really good this year. He's been really, really good the last couple of years, to be honest. And as you said, I'm really glad that he's getting recognition now because he really is very, very good. My first forward of the reserves is Paul George. He's only played 26 games, but he's averaging 25 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. He's been really good when he's playing. And the Clippers, I think, are about the 8 seeds, or maybe even higher. They're sitting at, let me just get it up, sorry. They're sitting at the 8 seeds, so I was right the first time. But yeah, they've been really good. Well, they've been good when he's playing, and he's been really good individually. So he takes my first forward spot.
I'll go with Brandon Ingram for my first forward spot. Hit a game winner today, actually, so it's quite fitting to give him the all-star position. And I know we said New Orleans a little underwhelming. I did have Valanciunas as a starter, so I'm kind of riding that wave. But yeah, Brandon Ingram, I'd say, is well deserving.
My second forward is someone that does not have the stats at all that really scream out all-star, but I guarantee you he's going to be one, and he's been really good, and his team's been even better. So that's Draymond Green. Yeah. He's averaging 7.9 points, 7.6 rebounds, 7.4 assists. And I think at the moment he's far and away the defensive player of the year at the moment. So he's getting my other forward spot.
I like that pick, Save. I heavily considered it, and my next player is the same, really. He doesn't have the stats at all, but I guarantee when I say his name that you will agree. Chris Paul.
Yeah, I don't have Chris Paul in my team, but he's the first one that if I have to pick one more player, he's going to be the first one that gets picked. Yeah, as you said, he doesn't have the stats that really scream out an all-star, but every year he just contributes to winning and plays winning basketball. And as I said with Devin Booker, their team's sitting at the 1 seed, so they definitely deserve to have 2 all-stars. And
Yeah.
I feel a little bit bad not putting him in, but I just don't really want any of the other players to miss out.
He is extremely proficient, and he doesn't have the turnovers where guys like Russell Westbrook might be a little, try to be crafty and then throw it away. Whereas CP3 is always disciplined with the ball. He has the assists, and he has a lack of turnovers. So I thought I'd give him some recognition.
Yeah, definitely. My last forward spot is Rudy Gobert. As I said, the Jazz are the number 3 seed. They've been really good. But Rudy Gobert is averaging 16 and 15. He's been really impressive, and he's going to be an all-star for sure. Obviously, great defense that he contributes as well, similar to Draymond.
Yeah. So I've effectively gone with Valanciunas over Gobert because I have Cat in my reserves as well.
Yeah.
So.
My first wild card is Damian Lillard. Similar to Harden when I was talking about in the Eastern Conference, he's been down on his usual numbers and his shooting splits are down. His team's not winning very much, but even still, he's averaging 24 and 7, and he's still an absolute star of the game, and I put him in.
He is.
And even just thinking about it, like I'm very close to putting in Chris Paul over Damian Lillard, but we'll have to see like how this next month before All-Star goes, and then I'll make my final decision.
Yeah. My first selection in the fill-in spot is Devin Booker. I know you had him. So the second one is... Go ahead.
My second one, Luka Doncic. It's another player that's been down on what he normally is. We know he's been an All-NBA player the last couple of years and even an MVP candidate. He's got a pair of top 3 finishes now. He's averaging less points than his career average, but it's like that's still 25. He's still got 8 rebounds and he's still got 9 assists per game. So he's been really good. I think the Mavs are like the 6th seed, so they've been really good as well. Obviously, he's the number 1 contributor to that. I'm a little bit upset with Luka. Like, I feel like he came into the season like a little bit out of shape and just not completely ready for the season. We know he played in the Olympics and like obviously did have a big off season, but hopefully he can really get back to his best and be that MVP candidate that I think I predicted at the start of the year. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have Luka as well. We may as well move to some general NBA talk. In the sphere of the NBA, what opinions or headlines, is there anything you want to project out there? Because it's been a while. We haven't really sat down and just talked old-fashioned NBA.
There's just so much that's going on. It's such a busy league. There's always 10, 11 games on every day, and you can't even watch them all. It's so busy, but I think there's been some disappointing teams and some really surprising teams. I think disappointing for me, obviously the Pelicans, I said before, the Trailblazers with Dame, they're only the 10 seed at the moment. Obviously my Lakers, I think it gets blown out a little bit more than it should. I mean, they were sitting at the 4 seed, or they were sitting at the 5 seed as of yesterday or the day before the Grizzlies game. And they've had so many injuries. We know LeBron missed heaps of time. Anthony Davis is missing heaps of time now. And as all teams they've had so many health and safety protocols, like people can't get a good run at it. And so I think they've been disappointing too. That's just in the Western Conference. In the East, I think the Celtics have been disappointing. The Knicks, obviously, they were the 4th seed, I think, last year and were really impressive. And they're sitting at the 11th seed right now. And even more disappointing, the Hawks, who made it to the conference finals, they're sitting at the 12th seed. So they've been, in my opinion, the most disappointing team of any team in the league.
I was about to mention to you the Knicks because you know how rowdy and boisterous that Madison Square Garden can be. What is your take on Julius Randle? He was obviously the face of the Knicks last year, and all of a sudden they've turned on him. They started booing him. They've been booing him the last 2 games, and he had 2 points in their recent affair with, I believe it might have been the Spurs, in a win as well.
Yeah, he has been in the news a little bit. Like we saw he got fined for a rude gesture to the fans at Madison Square Garden. I think that was a $25,000 fine, but he's still having a pretty good year. He's averaging 19 points and 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Obviously, that's down a lot on the 24 points that he was averaging last year, but he hasn't been as good, but he's still been like solid. And I think it's up to a lot of the other Knicks to step up with him. They've struggled with injuries and stuff as well, but like they have been pretty disappointing.
I think the question is he worth the lucrative contract? And we know guys like Michael Porter Jr. signed a big contract who's out with a back injury. Duncan Robinson was heavily inconsistent in the first quarter of the season. He's finally coming to the light now. But yeah, it's hard to see from the Knicks' point of view. He dragged them into the playoffs with a team that wasn't playoff standard. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think through 3 years now, 2.5 years, he's built up enough credibility that like you have to give him a year off. Like last year, they shouldn't have made the playoffs. No one had them making the playoffs, and then he, as you said, he dragged them like single-handedly. He was easily their best player, one of the best players in the league last year, in my opinion. He took them to their first playoff berth in a long time and took them to a top 4 seed. So I think he was really, really good last year that you almost have to give him a pass for whatever he does this year. But as I said, he hasn't even been that bad. So I think as far as the contract goes, it's probably not the best one, but there's definitely worse ones around the league. Like we look at guys like John Wall, who's hardly played, Russell Westbrook, who's not playing very well. They're all on more money and producing less. So I don't think it's the worst contract, but it's definitely not the worst.
Now, you did briefly touch on obscene gestures, and just within a couple of teams, there's been a bit of animosity. We saw in the Rockets, we saw Christian Wood a little annoyed and with his restricted playing time after he declined a rapid test, I believe it was. Kevin Porter Jr. fined a game also. And then today, KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Montrezl Harrell were, I don't know if they've been fined yet, but they were in an altercation and were split during the halftime.
I did get that notification. I haven't watched it yet, so I won't touch on that just yet. But there's been more examples around the league as well. Like we've seen Marvin Bagley's refused to play under coach Luke Walton, refused to step out on the court. We saw AD and Dwight Howard ages ago get into a little bit of a scuffle on the sidelines. So it has been a bit of an interesting year as far as like internal beef amongst teams, but I guess it happens a lot.
Yeah, it is. But I think that should wrap this episode up. I've enjoyed this. It's good to be back, and I'm looking forward to the All-Star game and then the playoffs after that. So we'll do another episode before then. But anything else you want to say, Zave?
Nothing else for me. Go Lakers.
Too easy. Well, we'll have a Supercoach episode coming out soon with Darcy. He's back and in good shape as well. So until then, we will catch you later, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.